We're back, and with us finally returning to the tricky circuit of Imola, let's see if Tsunoda can keep it out of the wall. This is Connor F1, and this is the 2024 Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. After 2 weeks have gone, we move into the 7th race of the season at the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, or to give it its full name, yeah, I'm not even going to try that. So just before we get into it, I'd like to say thank you for 147 subs at the time of recording, and I hope that we can keep this going until we hit 200 subs, and more than that soon. So let's see if we can hit 200 subs before the end of the month. So, let's get on with the video. We come into this weekend about more news about the driver market. But unlike the Hamilton to Ferrari move, I don't think much is going to come of this. Alonso has decided for once in his career to remain at his current team for another 2 years, with this ending anyone's hope that we would see a Verstappen-Alonso lineup next year. I want whatever Albon's having, because he's decided to remain at Williams in 2026, with it seeming that Russell is going to be the only driver who is driving for the Mercedes team next year. After a mixed performance at Miami, Ricciardo is again under pressure, with Liam Lawson being rumored to be taking his seat this weekend, but with VCARB and Helmut Marko asserting that this will not be true. And who was the one that started this again? Oh, of course, it was the New Zealand media. Of course it was. Mercedes has again had one of their team members taken from them by Ferrari, with Mercedes' young driver program head, Joe D'Ambrosio, and their performance director leaving the Silver Arrows for the Scarlet team. So I suspect there's probably going to be a broken table outside the Mercedes garage this weekend. The FIA must not want to deal with more track limits problems this weekend, so decided to remove every bit of runoff around the circuit, mainly turn 9, turns 11 to 13, and the end of the chicane. So hopefully Tsunoda can actually slow down his car for a change. So on to the action on track with FP1, and we finally have a non-sprint weekend this year, so the teams and drivers can finally actually get used to their new cars, as almost every team has added upgrades to their cars. Haas decided to put 2 different upgrades in each of their cars. Hulkenberg got the new car spec, and after the demolition derby that was Miami, Magnussen was replaced by Ollie Behrman once again. Hopefully this time it doesn't end up with Sainz in the hospital again. Oh, and he's off the track. After Lando Norris won in Miami, hopes have been high on the fight up front becoming better. It seems to become a reality, as Max pulled off a Tokyo drift, not a Yuki crash, and going off at the chicane, with the Dutchman also ending up in the new gravel trap at the bottom of the hill. Guess it would be fair to say that Jos will be looking for the nearest gas station after this. Max wasn't the only driver going off, with it seeming that every car was a gravel trap magnet, as cars would find themselves going off at turn 17, either just hitting the gravel, Tony Hawking it along the curb, or, as Ricciardo would do it, embracing his inner torpedo. The Silver Arrows must have had a Toto death wish, as Sir Russell just survived a Sainz-like trip into the gravel trap, as Hamilton would finish the move by spinning at turn 13, probably checking to see if the Mercedes engineers had actually made their car faster in reverse. Albon must be really regretting that deal with Williams right now, as he's found himself in the Hamilton zone with his engine giving out on him. Oh, and porpoising is back by the way, with Zhou and Ocon bouncing up and down side to side like a Lando coaster. Leclerc would top the session, with the most destroyed livery I have ever seen. What the hell happened to this beauty? But as we headed into FP2, he would again top the session, with both Red Bull drivers seeming to be off the pace again, down in 7th and 8th. Hamilton must have been trying to help his new team Ferrari by blocking Alonso and blocking Verstappen. Yeah, I don't think I really have to describe what happened with that last one. Gasly must have wanted to show off his new Senna helmet, so he spun it coming out of the chicane, with Sainz again repeating his mistake from FP1, and decided to cut some grass with his Ferrari. Mr. almost had a race ban, Magnussen, would also join the grid again, with them having a very quiet session. It seems that Haas doesn't need Gene Haas on their backs this weekend. On to FP3, and now, Lance, no! Oh, wait, it's Alonso? Sorry, force to have it. Alonso must have been paid off by Lawrence Stroll to perform badly to make Lance look better. But the only way that would have been possible would if Alonso didn't have a car, so Alonso did it himself. This would bring out the red flag, so when the session restarted, Perez must have decided it was time for the Mexican Minister of Destruction to show himself once again, as you go off at the chicane to bring out yet another red flag. The ending of the red flag would see every car scrapping for space on track, with Magnussen escaping another penalty by getting past the V-carb wall, and with Alpine using Gasly's car to get Piastri a scare, before giving Leclerc a Russell-type fight. The Mercedes of Hamilton would begin to question again where his car's pace was, and to that I answer, your car next year. The McLarens and the Ferraris would again be at the top of the pecking order, with both Red Bull struggling again with pace. But with a good run on the mediums, race pace might be the team's strong suit this weekend. Now it's time for qualifying, and Alonso's off again. What the hell is going on? So as Alonso would once again destroy his Aston Martin in the gravel trap, Alonso would find himself out in Q1, as Stroll would swap places with him of the knockout zone, with Alonso being joined by both state cars, Sargent and Magnussen, who was blocked by Oscar Piastri on the final runs. Q2 would be a cleaner session overall, with Max at the top of the session, with Leclerc in second and Tsunoda in third. On the final runs, Perez would be in the knockout zone, but with the only car stopping him being Daniel Ricciardo, I think we know what's going to... No way. Yep, Perez is knocked out in Q2, with Danny Ric just getting through by the skin of his teeth. Perez would be joined by both Alpines, the Alonso-paced Stroll, and the Williams of Alex Albon. Finally, we head into Q3 with the first runs, where Max would set the pole time to beat, with Norris getting within 1/10 of a second, with that upgraded McLaren as his teammate Oscar would just get dropped for third by Leclerc. On the final runs, Max would again go quicker by 1/10, as again Lando would be able to get himself less than a tenth, but neither of him or the Ferraris could stop Oscar Piastri from stealing second away from the rest of the pack, before losing for a grid penalty for the block on Magnussen. So as we head into the race, the question was what would happen in this race. The Red Bull wasn't that strong in quali, with Max pushing the car hard to get that lap for pole, and with both McLarens less than a tenth behind, and with the Ferraris being very quick in the last two sectors, who knows who could end up on the top step of the podium. At the start, both Max and Lando got an even start, but Max would just keep it ahead, with surprisingly no one going off, until of course Stroll decided to change that by giving Ocon the Verstappen treatment. Hulkenberg would once again show off his driving talents by moving up at the start, which was the only real thing of note for the first 10 laps, until the cameras would slowly cut to a slow-moving Albon, who, while at first it seemed it was just his engine giving out again, but no, instead the Williams pit crew must have decided to give the state pit stops a try, as Albon would leave with a loose wheel. The slow-moving Williams wouldn't bring out the safety car, ending any hopes of a good race, as the highlights for the race got so bored they started showing the V-carbs and the Haas's pitting. The camera would finally start looking at the higher parts of the field, which must have given Checo stage fright as he went off at the final corners. Looks like the old Checo's back, baby. The cameras must have had a thing for the V-carb of Tsunoda, but was able to catch a pretty damn good move on Logan Sargent, who would then get passed by Hulkenberg as well, just for good measure, just to make sure Logan does lose his seat this season. Hamilton must have remembered how Max went off at turn 13 during practice, so did it himself to see if that would help him get anywhere closer to Ferrari's pace. Instead, it would get him closer to Ferrari's strategies. Fight up front was non-existent, so the camera had nothing better to do than watch Perez slowly, and I mean slowly, move his way up the field. Also, for this whole race, Alonso has been down in 19th, as Stroll was able to get past a Haas for once. By lap 50, the only entertainment on track would be Stroll getting past Tsunoda in a car that should have been ahead anyway. So as the fans began to fall asleep, something would finally begin to happen, as Leclerc just didn't have the pace to get up to the back of Norris, and with Lando not really staying with Max after the first pit stops, we all thought it would be over, but instead, Lando would begin to catch Max. Lap after lap, Lando would close in. Both drivers told their engineers to shut up as they pushed to keep their position. Norris would sometimes gain up to a second a lap, so with 5 laps to go, Lando was within 2 seconds of Max. Lando would do everything he could to try to get within the DRS of Max, but with some mistakes, and with Max using all his time up front to save tyres, Verstappen would cross the line for the win, with Lando right up his gearbox in second, with Leclerc in third, as this might be the first time Max Verstappen has actually had to work for a win. So that was the 2024 Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. And yes, it wasn't the most interesting race, with surprisingly no safety cars, but with the ending of the race giving us hope that maybe we might see Verstappen truly begin to fight for wins. Please make sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a video, and let's get to 200 subscribers. I've been Connor, signing off.